Have you ever had the urge to just get in the kitchen and bake something? You don't want to have to go searching through your cookbooks or doing a Google search to see what you can bake. And we don't necessarily have all the ingredients required in our pantries. I think I found a solution. Hi, welcome back to Christine's Home Affairs. Today I'm going to test the capabilities of artificial intelligence. I've heard about this site called Chat.OpenAI. It's an artificial intelligence program, I guess, that you can type in any conversation or question or just a whole group of words, ask it anything, and it'll come up with an answer. And it's quite interesting when you do this. I told this program that I have eggs, lemons, cinnamon, vanilla, sugar, almond flour, and coconut flour. I want to make something that's low carb. And this is what it's come up with. So let's see how this recipe works. I've never tried this recipe before. We're going to give it a go. I thought I'd share this with you. So I'll put up on the screen the website that I went to and exactly what I've asked it, and you can have a look here. So I hope the screen's not flickering too much, but here's the question I asked Chat.OpenAI. I have lemon, almond meal, coconut flour, stevia, eggs, vanilla, cinnamon, and would like to make a low carb dessert. So with these ingredients, this is what we're going to make. Low carb lemon almond cupcakes. The ingredients here are almond meal, coconut flour, stevia. I'm actually going to be using xylitol, baking powder, salt, eggs, lemon juice, lemon zest, vanilla extract, and half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And then it goes down here and explains to you how to go about putting everything together. And at the end, if you want to, you can add an optional frosting, which I think I will add to it as well. So there's the recipe. Let's see how this goes together. So what I've done is preheated my oven to 175 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's on at the moment, and I have all of my ingredients with me now. What I need to do according to this, now I'm not very good at following instructions. I usually tend to change everything, so it could happen. I've got almond flour, and almond meal is pretty much the same thing, so I know it's difficult sometimes to find almond flour. I'll often use almond meal instead. So I need 1 cup of almond flour. This is a half cup measurement, so I'll put 2 in. Then I need 1/4 cup of coconut flour. And we want to put all of our dry ingredients in a bowl separately because we're going to be putting some baking powder in here, and we just want to mix that through. I have some baking powder. This calls for 1 teaspoon. I'm just going to use a regular household teaspoon. I do have the little measurements, but as I said, I like to wing it with a lot of things I do. So 1 teaspoon of baking powder. I'll give that a bit of a mix just to get it started. This calls for 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I don't think this has got any butter in it. And usually if I'm using a recipe that wants butter and salt, I'll often use just the salted butter instead. So 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You can add an optional addition of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Then we'll just mix all of those ingredients together. You really just want to mix up all that baking powder, so that needs to be distributed evenly throughout the contents of the dry ingredients. So I'll set that aside and I'll get the wet ingredients ready. Oh, completely forgot to add the sweetener. I'm using xylitol. Chris and I stopped using sugar, real sugar, a long time ago. And we are using xylitol in this. We need 1/4 cup. You need to be careful with xylitol. It's toxic to dogs, so you want to make sure that you don't give your dog any of this. And you want to make sure that your dog has no access to the xylitol at all. So I keep it out of reach, and I'll just mix all that in and I'll set that aside, and I'll get my wet ingredients organised. The recipe asks for 3 large eggs. I'm using 700-gram eggs. We want a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I've washed the rind of a lemon and we need to have a teaspoon of lemon rind. I'm just going to grate it straight into the bowl. I'll estimate how much we use of that. I remember years ago when I was making lemon cakes, the recipe would often ask for lemon rind. I wouldn't put it in there because it was such a horrible bitter taste. But when I grew up, I realised that the lemon rind is actually essential. It just changes the whole dynamics of the cakes and pastries and things that you make. It really makes it. So I've got about a teaspoon in there. I'm not fussed if it's a little more, because as I said, since I've grown up, I actually really like it. And FYI, I haven't really grown up either. We also need 1/4 cup of lemon juice. So I'll use this one, squeeze all the juice out. The juice of about 2 lemons. It depends on how juicy the lemons really are. These weren't that juicy. So 1/4 cup of lemon juice without the seeds. And now I'm ready to mix the wet ingredients together. So don't start too high with your mixing because it's quite a wet mixture, otherwise everything's just going to splash up in your face. The wet ingredients have all been mixed together, and I probably should have read the recipe properly. I was supposed to beat the eggs first. Look, I have a tendency to mix all my dry ingredients and all my wet ingredients together. I'm just loosely following this recipe. So all the wet ingredients are together. I'm now ready to incorporate that with the dry ingredients. Pop all that in. It's a very wet mixture. I'm not used to baking with such a wet mixture, but I do know that the coconut flour absorbs a lot of moisture. It's very, very dry. So I'll mix that all together. This is still a very, very wet mixture. So I've mixed it all up. This is probably the wettest mixture I've ever done in baking. So I'm a bit dubious about this AI program. I'm going to persevere and see how this turns out. I've got my cake mixture just sitting to the side for a little while. I think that the coconut flour and the almond meal or almond flour needs to absorb some of that moisture. So I'm going to just take my time and put some of these little patty cakes into a cake tin. Then we want to fill these cups up about 3/4 full and bake them in the oven for 18 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to spoon the mixture in. Okay, I've only filled these cupcakes up about halfway and I've only managed to get 10 of them. Let's put this in the oven now. I'll put the timer on for 20 minutes. I think it's going to need all of that because it's such a wet mixture, and we'll come back and see how they look. Okay, they did only take 20 minutes. They've come out of the oven nice and brown, and I've set these aside to cool for a while. I'm going to put some frosting on top now. I'm using Philadelphia cream cheese, and I'm just using half the packet. There are no instructions for how much of this cream cheese and sweetener I need to use, so I'm going to try 1 tablespoon to begin with. I've added that to the cream cheese mixture and I'll just mix that all together. I'll give it a taste just to make sure it's sweet enough. And I think that I'll probably need to add a little bit extra because the cream cheese is going to be a little bit salty, and I don't think there's going to be enough sweetener to balance those flavours. So I'm just mixing the sugar in, or the sweetener in. Again, it's just the xylitol, and give that a taste. I think it just needs a touch more. So I'm going to add another half a tablespoon. So in total, there's 1.5 tablespoons to the half a packet of cream cheese. Mix that together again, and then I'll spread that onto the little patty cakes. There's a fair bit of mixture there, so I'm going to be quite generous with this. They don't feel heavy in weight, but they do feel quite solid. So I'm not sure how these are going to go. Might have to get Chris to try them first. He can be my guinea pig. I have to say I'm still very dubious about these cupcakes, and I'm a little bit concerned that the best part is going to be this cream cheese mixture on top. We'll find out soon though. I'm going to pop these in the fridge for about 10 to 15 minutes just to let that cheese firm up a little bit, and then we'll give it a taste test. Come on in. Okay, I've got my guinea pig here. Chris doesn't know what I've been working on today.
All I know is I had to get lemons off the tree, so...
And you did such a good job.
I'm assuming there's lemon in there.
It may prove to be the best part of the whole recipe. It is a lemon...
Surprise.
They're lemon and almond cupcakes.
Okay.
Okay. I've not tasted it. Chris hasn't tasted it. Be honest. If you think it's disgusting, we'll let the world know. Okay. So the recipe that I've got is from that OpenAI program.
Oh, okay.
I gave it a list of ingredients.
The artificial intelligence.
Yes. So let's see if the artificial intelligence can create something yummy.
Okay. So I don't get paid enough for this. So they've got a lemon type icing. Is it an icing?
No, it's a cream cheese. So it's
cream cheese.
It's probably going to be the best part because I made that up. But the cake itself, I don't know what that's like yet.
Okay.
And you're the one that has to die first.
It's very heavy for a cake.
Yeah, I said that in the video actually, yeah.
It's not unpleasant.
Isn't it?
No. No, it feels like tastes like a very dense, thick bread.
Okay.
But it gets a nice flavour from the top.
Yeah, I knew that the top would be the winner.
Yeah, without the top, I'd be whisking this off to Coco.
No, you would kill her.
Oh, it's got...
stevia in it.
Okay.
Okay,
Sorry.
so we won't be giving it to her at all.
Yeah, I'll finish this.
Okay, will you finish the rest?
No.
Okay, I guess it's my turn to try them, and I'm probably going to pick one that's got lots of cheese. Sorry, Coco, you can't have any. It's very chewy. Do you find it chewy?
Yeah.
The flavours aren't really quite there. The cheese is the best part on top. I won't make these again. This is common though with low carb desserts, especially when you're using almond meal and coconut flour. They're very dense and...
It does take a while to get used to things made with almond bread, almond meal.
Almond meal, it does.
Because they are dense, like the
and
bread.
And grainy, yeah. So when you make stuff with flour, it's all nice and smooth.
It's not a bad flavour, it just tends to be a bit gluggy.
Yeah, I've done better with my own recipes. So AI, you didn't pass. Don't make these at home. If you do, add plenty of cheese. Look, I think that this would actually taste a little bit better if I had have put more sweetener in the cake mix. Yep.
I wonder if you can convert it from a cupcake to some sort of a slice.
Yeah.
Because if it was a bit thinner with a nice topping, it wouldn't be a bad slice.
Yeah. All right, there's some options. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll probably finish the rest just because I like food. And I shall catch you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.